everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to introduce you, if you've never seen it, to the Pico-8. It's a fantasy console or an emulator that was made to feel like old consoles in the 8-bit era. And what's interesting about this is you can just play these games online or you can purchase their emulator. And if you do purchase their emulator, you also have the ability to make your own games. It's a fully functioning emulation with programming tools built in where you can create sprites, you can create soundtracks, and there's a map editor. So it's a fantastic system. It's got a 128 by 128 16 color display. There are techniques that people have used to enhance that within the limitations of the system. You have cartridges that are 32K in size. There's another limitation you have there. And what's interesting about that is they're done in the format of a picture. So they're PNGs. So they'll look like a PNG if you decide to download these. But you can just drag that PNG right over your emulation window and it'll start running them. But you can also play these right online. And you can do that by heading over to lexalawful.com and clicking on the Pico-8 button. And you'll see stuff that's featured that week, but you also have the ability to click on the More Carts section or forums, and you can search through the carts or the forums with keywords. And what I've done is I've searched for things like spooky, Halloween, witch, and have just sampled a few of the games, and there's tons more, even if you're not just playing for Halloween. But I thought I'd do something for the Halloween season, seeing how we're right in the beginning of October. And I'm not sponsoring these guys or anything. I just bought this because I thought it was fascinating, and I've done a little bit of programming and looked at other people's codes just for fun. I am not a stellar programmer by any means, but I've had a little bit of fun with it. You know, you don't really need to buy anything. You could just go to the website and play games, and there's a lot of different types of games. Even in just the Halloween section I'm looking through, there are shooters, there's arcade games, there are like fantasy role-playing games, you've got dungeon crawlers, there's adventure games, platform games, and you know, some of them are small, and some of them are a little more repetitive like old arcade games, but that doesn't take the fun away, especially when you're talking about free. So anyone that used to like to play Flash games or go online and play Java games, stuff like that, this is right up your alley. It's something you can easily have fun and kill. I mean, every week you could probably kill 30 to 60 minutes and still find new stuff. But, you know, if you want to just kind of binge on it right now, you could spend hours just looking up everything, because one thing leads to another, and then you'll see demos too. Some of these games aren't quite games. They're more of like this exploratory story that you're kind of living in. So there's just all kinds of clever programmers out there that making the most of this cute little system. So sit back, and I think what I'll do is I'll do a quick little intro to any of the games I'm playing so you'll have an understanding of what it's about. But then I'll just let you watch it. I've really cropped stuff down, so it's not going to be too crazy. But it might be something that it just piques your interest a little, and you might want to go check it out. And if the title's on screen, you'll be able to at least search it quicker instead of filtering through a bunch of stuff. But half the fun is just filtering through all the games and looking at stuff and wondering what they're about. I really think that this thing, even though it's been out for a while, I'm seeing better and better games every year. So the potential is still, the sky's the limit. So hopefully over the next several years, if the word gets spread more and more and more about this, we'll see some better people developing. And maybe that'll lead them to developing a game that may become a big game someday. I think Celeste might have been designed on this initially. And I think most of you have heard of Celeste. All right, here's our first game, Lina, Witches of the Moon. And this is just a shoot 'em up. So you'll see it's got a very 8-bit flavor, but obviously the background abilities of this virtual system are more robust. You'll be able to tell by just the pure amount of sprites and bullets on screen. But it's great to play something very retro like this. If you have a joystick, you can hook it up. Some work, some don't, so keep trying. If you have some different ones, gamepads with an analog stick work better. So the first one we have here is just a nice little shooter, and enjoy how insane this one can get. Next we have Elias Grey, and this one is not very action oriented, if at all, and hardly a puzzle to solve, but this is more a philosophical game, one that may make you think about your mortality and your existence and the things you may do to get what you desire the most. But again, another example of the vast amount of genres available on this system. Alright, so here's Boo! Haunted House, and this one is a match 3 game, but it's a little trickier than some match 3 games, and I found it very difficult to see where the match was going to be, and it takes a little bit getting used to the controls to move things around, but once you do, you'll be chipping away at it, but you have only so much time to complete the level, so it feels like you've got to be really fast and really sharp to beat this game. Now, this game is called Monster Mash, and I liked it a lot. It's not long, it's not difficult, but this is a fun little story, and this is a great game for, it doesn't matter. You can be older, you can be younger. The younger kids will probably have a little bit of trouble with it being new at it, but, you know, if you help them along, it will go just perfectly fine, and it's just a charming little game, so I recommend everyone play it. It might not even take you more than 10 minutes, and you'll be done. All right, now we have Hazel May saves the Halloween monster Soiree. Yeah, that's a mouthful. But this is really cute. I haven't solved it yet. There's an order you got to get the keys in, so there's a little bit of replayability to this because you're not going to finish it the first time unless you get really lucky. And then you've got monsters around, and they have to have certain items to make them happy before the party. So you got to get them their goodies, plus you got to get the keys to open the doors in the right order. It's going to take you a few times probably, but really great graphics here. There may be a few glitches and people have commented on it, but it seems to be well worth playing through just for the satisfaction of getting everybody all their things. So the more monsters that get their items, the more will attend a party and you'll get a better score. All right, this one's Haunted House, and I'm not sure I quite get everything to do in this, so I'm going to have to read through these instructions again. But what's nice about this is this guy says right here that if you want to use any of the code, just give him credit, and that's what's nice about this community. There's lots of them that'll do that. They'll give you a little chunk of code that'll help you create your game if you need, and you can use it if you give credit. So the community is fantastic, and I don't know about you, but I love this opening. It's fantastic. Imagine seeing this on an old system way back in the day. It would have blown my mind. But again, Not sure what I need to do. I'm going to play it some more, try and figure it out. Hopefully, I can get to the end of this and do everything I need before midnight, because at midnight, something horrible happens. All right, and here's a simple little game called It Had to Be Bats, which is just, yeah, it's batshit crazy is what it is. It's so fast paced, and you got stuff coming at you, and I don't know. It is hard. I don't know why, but I was enjoying it, and I was wanting to do better and better, but it was so hard. The color scheme looks fantastic, but it makes it really tricky to see things. But that's part of the charm of it. And I just, oh my gosh, it was driving me crazy right from the start, but I wanted to keep improving on it. So, I mean, that's pretty much what you want from a game. Something that drives you crazy, but makes you want to keep playing it. All right, here we have Night Fright Flight, and this is just one of those endless runners, but this one's pretty cool. I like the color scheme on it, and this, whatever this amorphous blob is chasing you, it's obviously going to snuff out your spirit. So you've got this thing where you can push a button and become invisible for a bit, and what you got to do is you've got to try and collect as much candy corn while you keep running, avoiding other things so you can pass through them if they come at you, and then suddenly they're shooting lightning at you. It gets all very hectic, but super fun. I would recommend this one. All right, so here I am hunting through the forums this time, and you can see that if you just open it up in a new window or click on it, you'll be able to play the game just like if you're looking at the carts, which is really cool. So this one's called Grave Matters, and what you're doing in this one is it's pretty much a platformer, but sometimes you got to seek out and get certain items before you can move on. Like there's gates that are closed, so you got to get platform your way up to a key. And then there's other times where you've got to go to a character and you kind of get near them and they'll tell you the item they're seeking. If you bring something back to them, they'll give you a key or something to get on to the next area. So a little slippery with the jumping, but a pretty cool platformer. Okay, here we have another platformer called Hexen 7, and this one is a little bit trickier than the other one, a little more serious. So you have jumping and fireballs you can shoot, lots of things that can kill you, and there's lots of ways, a little bit darker too, lots of ways you can get trapped in this, and you might have to do some backtracking. But again, very challenging for a platformer. You've got to make some really solid jumps to make progress in this one. Otherwise, if you miss your jumps or you get hit and bump back, you're going to have to find your way back to the point you were at before. Definitely a challenge. All right, here we are at Demon Attack, clearly this has been inspired from the 80s classic Phoenix, but this one is probably got some little bits of differences to it. But what happens is in the first stage, you're attacking and shooting these monsters or demons, and as you go on to higher levels, they start splitting into tinier demons, and then next thing you know, there's just a crap load of them on the screen raining bullets down on you, and you're in more defensive mode than offensive mode, that's for sure. But a great nod to the arcade game Phoenix. Well, and sometimes you don't want ghosts to be so scary, so there's always a good knockoff of Pac-Man kicking around. And this one is, as good as any other. I mean, it's got a little bit of a funkier groove to it, and the ghosts look just a little bit different, which I dig. This is just a small sample of what's out there for the Pico-8. And again, you can play this on pretty much anything. Windows, Mac, Linux, Raspberry Pi. So go ahead and check them out and see if you find anything you like. And if you do, and I haven't played it here yet, drop something down in the comments, because I'm always looking for something new to play on the Pico-8. And sometimes, you just don't search for the right stuff and you skip right over things and you don't even know they exist, because there are hundreds and hundreds of games they put out for this from tons of talented developers. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. We'll see you next time.